What is going on, everyone? RJ here. Today we are going to be doing a green day recap on ticker symbols SAVA, Apple, and OXY. I did have a red trade over on Tesla, but it's not worth mentioning. I was doing a test strategy for a break of day high, and it was like a super small manageable size. It was like 25 shares or something like that. Just something for me to dabble and get some data with. But today was an overall green day, landing us 2 green days to start off the week, which is super awesome. But before we dive into the meat of the content, if you guys are new and you do find this information useful, do me a favor and consider hitting that like and subscribe button down below, as it truly helps the almighty YouTube algorithm promote this video and this channel to find other viewers and traders such as yourselves and other potential viewers and traders out there trying to learn. Also follow me on my other social media platforms here. It is just at RJ Ardanas. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Tuesday so far. We do have some trades to go over and review, so without further ado, let's dive right on in. Alright, so let's go over my red trade first, which was OXY, and this was just a bad read for me, but looks like it did have some follow through here later, but just a bad entry. And so your entries and exits are normally everything. And so on OXY, it looks like at open it just kind of consolidated. You see the chop here, which is really bad. Finally, it gave through, broke through VWAP, and broke through previous day close, which is this dashed line here. And so we have a nice engulfing pattern. And so on the next one, looks like there was a pullback, and then it continued to flush downwards. So I wanted to get in on an entry here, and here was a biased ABCD pattern. So here's A, here's B, and kind of like this consolidation period here is C. And so I took an entry right here, which is the previous 5-minute candle close, and then I kept a stop loss right above it at the open of that previous red candle. And so on the 1-minute chart, it correlated to something like this. And so I wanted some continuation downward. Again, bad entry at this candle. And then as it continued to move back up, I did take the stop here at 10 cents. Got to keep it short and respect your stop losses. And so this was my red trade of the day. And so as you see here, was reading a bad reverse ABCD pattern with an entry of 29.90 at the close of the previous 5-minute candle, with a stop right at the open of previous 5-minute candle at $30 for a 10-cent stop. So you got to respect your stop losses and you got to maintain that. Next, I have a small winner here on Apple, which was an ABCD pattern that broke with an engulfing candle through the 9 EMA and the VWAP. When I'm looking at the volume, you know, in hindsight, it wasn't really there, but it was doing about $348,000 worth of volume. But here's your A, here's your B, here's your C, and finally here's your D. So during this consolidation period, I wanted to take an entry right here at the top of this igniting candle. And so I took the long position, kind of wrote out the red candle here with a stop loss right at VWAP, so it didn't quite go to VWAP. And then finally we had this small follow through all the way up to 143.70 and kind of like a 143.80. So my entry here was 143.50, so this was like a 30-cent move, partialed all the way, and then I took the rest of it off here at the 143.60 mark, and so about right below my break-even point. Now on the 5-minute chart, you can see that this was difficult to trade. Let's say you didn't have this big engulfing candle here. You could see that these two were big indecision candles. This one was a falling star candle, doji, and so that normally signifies weakness. But as you can tell, this could have gone either way. It could have flushed right back down below VWAP, but obviously, as you see here in hindsight, it did continue to move upwards, offering almost a $2 move here. But Apple was very difficult. As you can see in the 1-minute chart, it was chopping up and down, which was giving us these up and down tail wicks. And then finally it did break through. So Apple was a tough one. This ABCD pattern had some follow through for me, but didn't really give a lot of gains. And then moving on to my biggest trade, my biggest winner, which was SAVA. So on SAVA, on the opening, I took an opening range breakup. And again, you got to be fast on opening range breakups. You got to have your hotkeys super fast, and you got to have fast reaction times. And so as I saw this one exploding, I saw it on my thumbnails, and it broke through the 9 and it broke through the VWAP. So I took a position here at around 66, I want to say, let's just say 66.15. Right here in this area. And so I took that, and it continued to give me follow through. So I took my first partial at 66, I want to say 30, and then my next partial here as it broke the 66.50 area, so the $0.50, and then it continued actually to sell. So I didn't like the topping tail here, and so I went ahead and went all out right before break even. Obviously, in hindsight, if you saw, it did bounce back off the VWAP and the 9 EMA, giving us this better move upwards. But, you know, with this entry, I needed to respect my stop loss. I don't like turning green trades into a red trade. And obviously, this wick, it went way below my green arrow here, which was my entry, and I don't like doing that. On the 5-minute chart, we see this big topping tail, and so that signified a lot of selling pressure. So it is followed with this big red candle here. You could have taken a position short. I would have taken a position short, but you know, my eyes were somewhere else. And I wanted to show you guys here that it obviously has big volume. You need to have massive volume on an opening range breakup. That's how you kind of snipe your way in and out of positions and kind of ride the waves up or down. Now, my next biggest winner here on SAVA, and this took patience, right? So this was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. It was about 45 minutes in. I didn't take my next entry on SAVA till about 10:20. About 50 minutes into market open, I did see, so you see SAVA has good follow through. It doesn't chop around. And so when it broke, and it gave you entries on the short side and the long side. And so here it started staircasing upwards, making higher lows, higher highs, and then around here on the VWAP area, I saw it would go up, it would consolidate, it would go up, it would consolidate. And so I took an entry right at VWAP. So let's just call it $64 was my entry, with a very tight stop loss here at about 30 cents, so 63.75. As SAVA, you have to give yourself some leeway because of the spread and how fast it moves. So normally I like 10, 20 cent spreads, but on SAVA, I gave myself a 30 cent spread here, a 30 cent stop loss. And then I took my first partial when it finally broke through $64, and it gave me about 64.20, and then I partialed all the way. This thing had really, really nice follow through with a $64 entry. It went all the way up to about $65. So this was like a whole dollar move. I want to say this even got up to 65.25. So this was an excellent, excellent trade for me. As you can see here in the volume, I circled it. It had good volume and it had good follow through. So this was a break of VWAP trade as it continued to staircase up. So I saw it sold off, it consolidated, it found a support level here, and then it just continued moving upwards in this U-shaped form. And then it broke VWAP with nice movement upwards, and it offered a lot of tendies here. So I hope you guys did enjoy that video. Again, my biggest winner was obviously on SAVA for the break of VWAP as it continued to staircase up. SAVA sometimes is a little difficult to trade because it moves violently fast, and sometimes it's got a nasty spread. So you have to make sure you're monitoring everything at once. So the charts, you're monitoring the spread, and you're monitoring the volume, as well as obviously the price action. And so SAVA normally has really good follow through when it is a stock in play. And so obviously you guys saw it had a nice move upwards at the open, and then it had a nice move downwards. So it wasn't really chopping around. It had nice follow through even on the downside. So if you wanted to take a position short, there was some entries for that. And as it continued to staircase back up, I saw that it was trying to break through VWAP with really, really good green volume. And so I decided to take an entry, and it punched right through, almost giving us close to like $1 in profits. And then obviously right at open for SAVA, I did take an entry for the opening range breakup. It went ahead and punched through the VWAP, and then I took profits all the way up. And then as it continued to give me that sort of like a topping tail, I went ahead and went all the way out as it closely approached my break-even point. I am of the saying, never turn a green trade into a red trade. And so obviously hindsight, when we look at the 5-minute chart, it had even much more follow through on the upside. But again, you know, if I had held on, it would have took my entry into the red, and I don't like doing that. So I did have some good profits for me, and so you can't be too greedy. I had some nice profits on the way up, and then kind of just took it right before it was at my break-even point. But other than that, those were my trades for the day. If you guys did find this video and this content useful, and you found yourselves learning something new please consider hitting that like and subscribe button down below. It truly does help the almighty YouTube algorithm promote this video and this channel to find other viewers such as yourselves and other potential viewers out there. Also follow me on my other social media platforms here. It is just at RJ Ardonis. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Tuesday so far. If you guys have any other questions, just please post them in the comments section below. Other than that, trade clean, stay green, and I'm gonna see everyone on the next day trading recap next time.